All right, just sharing some field notes with everybody on some tips and tricks that I'm using to soften this piece. I'm trying to get it more like the reference image, although certain color changes had been wished, and so I'm honoring those too. But I really have been struggling with how can I soften this piece more, but yet I didn't want to melt it and scrape it totally. How do I soften the darkest areas that are most saturated? And I just came up with a solution. Enter the wool sock, the mismatched one off that's hanging around on my shelves, and some encaustic medium with a little bit of white powder in it. So here's what I'm finding. I'm just going to set this up and let it record. I'm not feeling like I'm camera ready. How perfect, because we'll just focus on what I'm working on. But as you can see, it's actually been a mechanism to start to soften, and I love it. So I'll just take you along for a few minutes. You want to overstay, but I think it's this. These are the moments when I'm on commissions and I'm finishing them up by a certain time. These are the moments when I create, oftentimes, solutions, right? Where there's a will, there's a way, and necessity was the mother and invention and all that stuff. That's what I'm working with. Just dipping this into the waxy medium, so I'm just kind of creating an effect that scuffles along. It doesn't take out the saturation totally. And I'm kind of liking it, kind of feeling it. And it's upside down because then I'm not focusing exactly on what it should look like, just going more with the reference image. And that's helping me a lot. And it's okay if there's some drips, that's part of it, right? And I'm up on tables, I'm jumping around. This is the part of commission work for me, or custom work for anyone, that is cool, and it's super physical. Kind of wears me out sometimes in a great way. I fall into bed every night with no trouble sleeping, which is nice. Yeah, I came to this idea because it just was going to be too much to whitewash it. It would have looked too done, right? And so I'm happy with how this is going. And of course, I'll hit it with some fusing and fire later. But I'm just dipping this sock into my can of created creamy white. And it's kind of working out. I sort of like it. It's hard to create a vibe in some ways when you have something in your mind. But the key is just trying different things. And I like what fabric dipped in wax elementally brings to a piece, if that makes any sense. Cool thing about painting or drawing mountains is really, is there any wrong way to do it? I don't think so. The more abstract, the better. I'm having to kind of work quickly just because this wax is setting up. And now I'm just doing what they call stippling, which is just kind of an art application technique title. But this is the kind of stuff I've always dreamed of sharing, and there are tons of things like this that I do. I'm trying to hold the camera stand in one hand and paint with the other for a few, and then I promise I'll stop, but it's just way too good not to share all this. And I think the collectors will really appreciate the vibe that I'm creating, It's hard to explain this to anybody else unless you've worked with the mediums of wax and so on. In my opinion, I don't know. There we go. Because I'm working upside down, I'm being mindful that the peaks of the mountains stay more pronounced in saturation than the lower portions. It's kind of a cascading effect. So maybe more than you wanted to know, but feedback is field notes are awesome and people love to learn this kind of stuff. And it's applicable to other things, you know. I don't know, whatever kind of work you're doing or sneaking up on or procrastinating, there's ways to kind of get closer to it. And even if it's yard work, sometimes I have to be creative with the approach because the other stuff that I've tried isn't working. I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. Things are softening up. I'm happy about it. I'll really soften up this layer up here because when the piece is turned over, this is the bottom and it's decidedly more shrouded in the whiteout that's wrapping down the mountain. Anyway, wow, there went 6.5 minutes. That's how we chew up time. Anyway, as always, I'm here for you guys. I love that you want to learn. I'm totally enchanted with wax. And what can I say? Like, this is the dreamiest work ever. Are you kidding? Mountain peaks and wax, custom. This is dreamy stuff. Anyway, putting the wax back on the hot plates now. Thank you all for being along.